prove myself, and I did. You know,
Yeah, you
luckily
had another one too. You had KMD.
I did. MF Doom,
And
yeah,
then
man.
who came MF Doom? I think it's his brother died in the car. His brother died, right?
Yeah, his brother got hit by a car under
Mm-hmm.
mysterious circumstances, and you know, we put out his second record was coming out, Black Bastards, and like you know, he used the Sambo logo that he drew, and the record's called Black Bastard. It looked like the game Hangman. You know that game you
Mm-hmm.
play when you're a kid. So it
Mm-hmm.
was that, and it was he was hanging his the Sambo stereotype in effigy, and you know, Billboard saw it. A woman named Terry Rossi, and she said that it was basically irresponsible and some you know like kind of accused us of being racially insensitive for allowing him to use his artwork. So his record, the label, it was in the you know it was like right after Ice-T had the shit with Cop Killer. So Warner Brothers was all they were nervous, and they let it go. So they gave him back his masters, and he disappeared for a few years, you know, and he came back as MF Doom. His name was is Doom, is Daniel Dumile, so his name was Doom. So he just became who he really was, and in a strange way, it was a blessing, right? He went, you know, never losing your brother can never be a blessing, but like all the trials and tribulations he went through made him find this inner voice, and he came back as MF Doom, which is you know a totally kind of different chamber of music, but I feel like that is like a metaphor on some level for like black people in America. Like you can hand motherfuckers a bowl of shit, and they're gonna come back and make the greatest thing ever. You could give people the worst conditions in the world, subject people to bullshit, but watch what motherfuckers do with that, right? That ingenuity and that spirit. And I always felt that in his music. He was like a modern blues man or some shit. He got handed the worst shit in life, and he made that shit into gold, right? You know,
That's hip
and
hop. That
that's hip
mask is
hop.
iconic. Yes, hip hop shit for real. That mask is iconic. I remember, man, somebody telling me that Doom would go do shows all over the world and have somebody being Doom over
He
here,
did. He
have
had this
somebody
dude.
being Doom in England, somebody in Ireland doing a
Yo,
show being Doom.
I went to see him in Philly one time. I once drove up there to the show, and I was on the side of the stage, and dude came up next to me. I put his arm. I looked over, and it was Doom, but he was on stage. His man was being him. This dude Ben. It was Ben Klingon. Like, yeah, Doom was you know, man, we're working on this big thing about him. Me and the family, and we're gonna do. We got a lot of shit that we're trying to do that celebrates him because you know he's one of a kind. Like he is. It's wild because he has become like a guy who never had a hit record, right? But he is like a folk hero, which is so wild when I think about him.
A
He's like
lot of
mythical.
yeah, a lot of people fucked with MF Doom that I didn't even know about. I would see people and they'd be like, man, with the mask and all that shit. He was like a like you said a folk hero to a lot of people.
You know who put
Yeah,
me up on Doom?
he's like the centerpiece for like the whole Earl world. Tyler and them, they love him. He's like godlike to them, mythical. It's bugged out.
Yeah, you know who put me up on MF Doom? My oldest son. I heard that gazillion there, and I was like, "Who is this you listen to? This shit is ill." He said, "It was MF Doom. MF Doom was incredible."
It's crazy you say that because like all the youngsters around me, like my family and shit, like you know, my nephew, like his favorite rapper is Doom. He's like 20 years old. I was like, how the fuck is that your favorite rapper? You're supposed to like
Mhm.
Travis Scott or some shit. But he just loves Doom, and he's always asking me about Doom shit. So, you know, if everything lines up in the next, you know, we're trying to do this doc and all this shit with the families, you know, we're knee deep in trying to figure it out. So his story will be told in another way, a very creative way, if everything comes together. Doom was one of a kind, man. You know, that's a unique individual, and I always tell people I worked with KMD. I didn't work with Doom, but Doom was my really good friend. You know, he was like my brother for life, and he's just a unique individual. Like he's a wild boy, man. He was the funniest. Like there's no one like him. You know, and in this rap thing, like I always say, like I'm so lucky to be allowed to be part of it, to contribute a little bit to it, to be accepted, to have made friends who are like family to me, whether it's Large Professor or it's Muggs and them or whoever the fuck it is in this world that like, you know, I get to really be part of it, to have spent all those days with Biz Markie looking for records and pro kids and traveling, buying shit with him and shit like that, running around the world with people. Like that is the greatest honor of all of it. Like I never had a real job. I never really had to stress too much for money. Like, you know, I'm fucking blessed. This thing is, to me, like hip hop, the most important subculture of my lifetime. And without it, I don't know what the fuck I would have done. And my life would have been so much, it would have been boring, bro. Life would
Can
have
you
been real
imagine if
fucking
you wouldn't have
boring.
been doing it? Some of the greatest artists in hip hop would never have probably came into existence. Have you ever
No, I
stepped back
can't
and
say
thought about
that. I
people you
can't say
signed?
that. I don't say that because I say, to me, so I was just lucky enough that, like, I don't know how you guys feel about God, but I believe in God, very abstract.
Oh, I
But I
believe
believe
in
in
God
something
too.
bigger. You know, I'm not like a Jesus dude with God. Like I'm on some universal unconsciousness, right? So, but I was
Mhm.
lucky enough that what I call God put me in a position to open the door for people. But I just was that lucky motherfucker whose antenna was tuned in, turned on, right? So I just was very blessed to be allowed to help some great people come to light. But I believe that those people would have found a way anyway because they had the talent. I was just lucky enough to be able to open the door for them. And that's an
Now,
honor, man. That's an honor to me.
now I want to ask you about. I want to ask you about two groups in one person.
Okay.
How did you find Digital Underground?
So Digital Underground, a guy named Ed Strickland I worked with, he was a promo guy. He was traveling and he came back from the Bay and he had Underwater Rhymes. He had that record and we listened to it and we liked it a lot. And then Adrian Gregory, who managed them, sent him the tape that had Do What You Like on it before it
Mhm.
came out. Because they were putting records themselves out on TNT Records through McCullough, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they had put out Underwater Rhymes. So they pressed up Do What You Like, and sent us that. We was talking to them, and then I had the record and we played it in the office, and De La Soul was there. And they were like, Pasta Noose was like, you better sign those motherfuckers. And we all were like, yeah, we need to get the deal done. And we signed them. So my hats off to De La, kind of pushed that one over the top. And that was it, man. We met Hump and all that. And unfortunately, I left before the album came out because I wasn't making no money working at Tommy Boy. And someone actually was like, "We're gonna give you a real job and give you a real check, and you don't have to live in a shoebox apartment no more and sell weed on the side." So I got to stop hustling and had a real job, thank God. But yeah, dude, you know, Digital Underground and Shock was like Shock G's one of them dudes. Man, he was like a genius. Like I can't explain it. Like he could sit down at the piano and play some real shit. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
he's a bad boy.
he's a genius motherfucker. He did all the artwork. He would send the drawings in. Like he was a genius. Like I never, he's like, look, man, drugs suck. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and he, you know, he had problems with things later in life. But man, that dude was light years ahead of motherfuckers. And he did everything. He played everything, produced everything. He was so motherfucking talented and so fucking cool. He was the coolest.